Welcome everyone to the Chompcast, the official podcast of Sword Chomp and swordchomp.com. Thank you for downloading or streaming our podcast, taking some time out of your busy life to listen to us. If you're digging the show, please subscribe and leave us a kind rating if you can. It really helps the show a ton in reaching a new audience. My name is Morgan Barnes, live from Montana. I will be your host today, and I'm joined by my good friends and fellow co-hosts, the crew. Joshua Fowler from North Carolina. How you doing, Josh?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm doing good. I'm good. How about you, Shay, broadcasting live from Japan?
I'm pretty darn good. It is a nice day. I'm about to get my day started as you guys are getting ready to wind down for the evening.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had a nice day here, too. It was low 70s. Nice out. Oh, it was good. You're going to have a nice one there, too. I'm sure the weather is exactly the same. That's how weather works.
It actually is. It actually is really nice here today. It was raining all day yesterday. Today is nice and sunny. I'm going to the aquarium later.
Oh, nice. Well, I was going to say, Shay is broadcasting live from his favorite local... Did that translate? Shay, translating live from his favorite local...
It's not quite picking up.
I can't even understand him.
Yeah.
I can't even understand what he's saying.
Maksu. Maksu. Nobody? All right. It's Japanese for brothel. That's what.
Oh, okay. Okay. That was good.
Thank you, Google.
It's weird. I couldn't hear it with all the boobs in my ears.
I was gonna say, you kind of threw it off where you were like, it's in the morning here in Japan. I'm like, man, Shay, you're starting your day early there. I mean, come on, that's one way to wake up, I guess. But
that's right.
To each
boobs
their own.
In my ears and an arid throat.
Speaking of boobs in your ears, for our listeners, I don't know. That's all I got. We got a cool show today. Topics include. This topic is one that Shay gave us, a game mechanic or video game trope from the past that we would like to see incorporated into modern video games or a modern video game. Inspired by Far Cry 5 loosely. I'll get to that in a little bit because the big news of the week and today in particular was that we had a huge worldwide reveal trailer for Far Cry 5 that everyone's talking about. And of course, we'll catch up with each other. All the cool games we've been playing. I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil 7 in virtual reality. We got a little Phantasy Star 2 talk. Magikarp Jump, which is a weird thing that I downloaded a couple hours ago. So we got a lot of cool stuff.
Magikarp doesn't even learn jump. It doesn't.
Splash.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what makes it even weirder, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for weird though, so that should be actually pretty fun to talk about. But yeah, it should be a good show. I was going to say, Fish isn't here today. Sorry for our regular listeners. No Fish. I almost forgot to mention that. He is traveling up to me. Fish. I've summoned Fish to my lair in Montana. So I guess Fish didn't know they were, Fish. He's kind of oblivious to the world, lost in his own mind. So apparently he didn't know they were traveling early today, or you know how things go. Family get home like, hey, we're leaving today.
I mean, there was a study, I can't remember one. It's been a few years back now, but I think fish can only remember 3 seconds at a time. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult for their species.
Yeah.
But it's going to be cool because Fish is going to be up here in a couple days, and we're going to have a whole week of bonding time with our families and hopefully playing some cool games. And he'll be able to do hopefully a podcast live from my infamous podcast closet. I don't know why I wanted to call it a basement, but
You were thinking of my torture chamber in my basement.
I really kind of was. I said dungeon earlier, and I just keep wanting to go back to your little dungeon. So,
well, you've never been, so you can't really go back. But maybe someday you'll experience it.
Yeah, I'm filling it in my head with all these amazing things, so I hope it lives up to my imagination.
I will give you a hint, one hint. I have a massive meter diameter lollipop, and in the center where the swirls meet, there is a double-sided dildo.
Okay. I can get down with that. What about, do you have have you ever seen Burn After Reading?
That's the only hint you get. I've seen that. I've definitely seen that movie.
You don't have one of those machines that George Clooney was building in his basement by chance?
I guess you have to experience the dungeon someday.
That's true. You got to leave some to the enticing. But dungeons aside, we love you, Fish. We'll catch up with you next week. But yeah, so great show today. So the big news of the week, as we mentioned, Far Cry 5 dropped. And I'm excited that we can actually talk about it with more concrete details to a degree, because a lot of these outlets do their podcasts on Mondays and Wednesdays and even Thursdays in some cases. But we are fortunate because we just by coincidence record on Friday. So we've been getting a lot of really cool news. Destiny last week premiered on a Thursday. This week, the trailer for Far Cry was this morning. So we're kind of right on the cusp of these things, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that was the big reveal. I'm sure you guys watched the trailer because I was sending it to you guys this morning. We saw a taste of the Montana, Hope County craziness that will be Far Cry 5. And that, of course, inspired our topic. I wanted to get you guys' real brief thoughts on the trailer. I know this one kind of hits close to home because me and Shay, I know he's in Japan now, but for our listeners that don't know, he's a native to Montana, where I live as well. So this is one of the first video games that's going to kind of cut home, close to home for us. What did you think about the trailer when you watched it, Shay?
When I first heard it was going to be in Montana, I was really, honestly disappointed. It feels like right now, kind of within the media, and within, I guess, what little I keep up with in the celebrity circles and stuff, it's like Montana is starting to gain this what's the word I'm looking for? It's
Mystique?
being noticed more. Yeah. I guess that could be one word used for it, where a lot of people are starting to realize how good of a place Montana really is. And that's somewhere I lived my whole life, and it's been a great place to grow up and experience the things I love to do. It's hard to see that it's blowing up like that, because then that means that a lot of that pristine country that is there, it runs the risk of being taken over by people. I mean, honestly, you think about a place like Japan, where it was a very lush place way back in the day, and it was very nature driven, and now, and this is no offense or meant to offend anybody who's in Japan or Japanese, obviously, but basically anything in Japan, almost anything's been modified for human use. I mean, you can climb any of the mountains here, and they're easy because they've been altered to make it easy for humans. So for me, there's always kind of this fear of that happening with Montana. And
well, that's kind of what happened with that's why how Pokemon got started. Was the guy who created Pokemon was he was a kid that grew up catching bugs and stuff, and they basically paved over they were paving over a lot of forests and areas like that where kids were playing with office buildings and things, and that's what inspired him to create Pokemon in a weird ways.
Right, exactly. And then, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna sit down and watch a trailer, because I can't have all this bias for something that I haven't even seen. And the trailer looks really good. It looks like a beautiful game. The opening scene was a little bit off-putting, because it's like the wind pushing through the grass or the wheat, whatever it is. I can't remember what it is, and it didn't look quite up to snuff, but that's a hard thing to do in video gaming. So I was like, it looks kind of hokey. And then the rest of the trailer looked really good graphically. I feel like watching that trailer, it feels like they've done some research on Montana, or maybe they've been to Montana and done some of the research, but then it also feels like, okay, let's just
it's still a fantasy. Yeah, it's still a made-up city in Montana, but
right. It feels like they kind of they went around and they got some historical points, possibly.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we've got these semi-historical points, or we've got the landscape somewhat down. And then it is like, it looked like they're trying to make like Texas in the forest and in the mountains, essentially, a little bit, which is kind of funny to me. There's actually, sorry to get tangential, there's this episode of Supernatural where they said that it was filmed in Great Falls, Montana, and they made it look like Great Falls, like this super podunk city that was very backwoods, and it was clear that they had never been to Great Falls, Montana, but they just kind of put it there.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people, unfortunately, perceive places like Montana. But like, what about you, Josh? I mean, we were kind of joking before the show. I was telling Josh about how we just recently had a controversial election with someone who was elected to office for our state after, allegedly assaulting someone. But we're so Republican in Montana that he still won the election. And we and Josh were kind of joking about that.
Yeah, allegedly, and was recorded doing it, but still won. Like,
yeah, the timing on that is crazy. For good for Far Cry. They're kind of like one of those like happy coincidences.
Well, yeah, I guess my thoughts watching this is that all open world games to an extent are satire. They're come do this crazy thing in the world and let's make a statement about it. That's been it's kind of the MO for some time now. And this one feels like they're just not even putting any layer of separation on it anymore. It's like, Americans are fucking crazy. Here's a game about Americans being fucking crazy. And yeah, that
so
was
there's no subtlety, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's basically like everything they showed was bad guy from The Walking Dead or any other game, movie, anything like that. Someone crazy over the top who's obviously meant as an allegory for, just the insane religious people in America. And this time they just said, forget it. Let's just make a game that's exactly that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's going to go. Because, yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
I would say, so regardless of how you think, this is an interesting question, Josh, because you're right, it's going to be interesting how it's received. But like how like to you, like, does this seem interesting to you thematically?
No, not even a little bit. Because, I mean, like I said, it was an insane, just over the top, look at these crazy fuckers type thing. And I couldn't care less. I mean, I stopped watching The Walking Dead after a couple seasons, which was a couple seasons longer than it needed to go, because it's the same premise. It's just, let's watch idiots
really
make bad decisions. Yeah. No, I don't have time for that. That's
so it might be a little too well, and we'll have to see what the final product is, but that's really interesting, Josh. You're coming at it from the so I wonder if that would have changed if we had played. I know none of us here, because I know you guys well, are really versed with the Far Cry franchise, which I know sounds like heresy, but we're just not. And I've heard that just from reading about Far Cry 4 and 3 that they were kind of like the foreign version of like a lot of over the top crazy people, and this is like an interesting way of them looking inside of America and kind of doing that. But I wonder if it would seem a little more, if it would be a little more make a little more sense if we had played the other Far Cry games, because it's kind of similar in the same vein,
Maybe.
But I would just say that I honestly, Josh, I'm surprised. I think it looks great, but I mean, I think the themes are interesting. I agree with you. There's not a lot of subtlety in the trailer, but remember how we were joking about last week how video game covers are just kind of lame sometimes, and I was joking with you guys about how the Destiny cover just looks so bland. But like this video game cover, even though it's a little bit over the top, is like the exact opposite of that, because they're talking about this being the cover art, and it's basically like an ode to the Last Supper of Christ, but with a bunch of crazy, like it's a Montana militia or what have you, and it's just a very striking imagery that and themes with the religion obviously, and then